Good morning. It is Lions Talk with me, Smokin Jeremy B, and of course my co-host Dan Von Doom Leonard. We've got our stuff up and rolling. We know who you rep. We know if you're here, you're 90% a Lions fan or a hater. So we got you. What a great combine yesterday. We got Motor City Villains, Fred Peterson and Henry Gray all in the house saying good morning. And of course, Fred Peterson with the famous line, "It's a great day to be a Lion." Some pride. So let's get this intro going, and then we'll get into the meat of this subject. The combine. What else is there to talk about? Other than the fact that Amon-Ra may be getting that long-term deal I predicted all along.
Show us here locally in the community. Make sure y'all go check out Meat Fat Bodies by Jeremy St.
All right. That's right. It is Combine Talk today, along with Lions Talk. And normally I don't start with the last topic first, but it's the only one that doesn't have to do with the Combine. But does it not? Because reports are either today or tomorrow, Amon-Ra St. Brown's agent is going to meet with Brad Holmes to talk about a long-term deal. I said all along, my sources said the 25 years was right. He said it 25 million a year is right. He said it on his podcast, the money was right, but he also said he wanted to be a Lion for life. So I had a feeling the only thing holding it up is linked to contract. I expect 5+ years. What do you think about it, Von Doom?
Man, we figured that was going to happen anyway.
I know.
There's no reason for him not to make him a 5 to 7 year guy, especially with how the market's going to inflate. If you could keep him for 5 to 7 years at $25 million, it's going to end up being a steal.
Right. Hey, Brent, we appreciate you hopping in. Ricky Sakat, Detroit fan man and one funky Lions fan hops in with the good morning. So we extend St. Brown and Fields get traded to Atlanta. I'll have a sip of that. You know what? That's what I want to see. I want to see the Bears make that mistake. And I'll tell you why. If they trade out of that one spot and get 3 picks this draft and 3 picks next draft, by next year they could be the NFC North champs.
I think if they trade Fields and keep the number one, they could be the NFC North champs this year, technically, if they get lucky.
I don't think so. I think a rookie's going to struggle. A rookie will struggle with the way this division beats up on each other. A rookie will struggle. Well, the longest contract that's been given so far has been Patrick Mahomes. Give him $250 and do 10 years then. Do the Pat Mahomes thing. Backload that contract so he makes $6 million more this year, and he makes a buttload at the end that's voidable. Just saying.
That's just mean.
That's just mean? Is that what you said?
Yes, I did.
And give it about 66% guaranteed. That way it behooves him to take that type of contract.
That'd be a steal, honestly, Fred Peterson. 10 out of 100.
See, my thing is that if they keep Fields and trade back and actually fix the O-line and fix everything around Fields, he might be dangerous. Because we saw as he got an actual valid number one wide receiver, he did target him. And the number one tight end.
Hear me out, though. real quick. If they trade Field to Atlanta, you get the number 8 pick. You take 1. You don't draft Caleb Williams. You draft Marvin Harrison Jr. at 1. Then when it comes to pick 8, you take Joe Alt or the next best freaking what's it called? Offensive, no, tackle. Hear me out.
Either
Pick
tackle
9.
or guard.
Tackle or guard. 9, you take Rome Azuna because he's still going to be there at 9 if you go this way with it. First pick, well, your first pick of the second round. That's where you grab Michael Penix. You fixed your offensive line. You gave them 2 massive weapons plus DJ Moore. They had one of the most dynamic offenses in football right there.
And they ended up tagging Darnell Mooney, didn't they?
I don't think so. They weren't going to tag him, dude. It would have been Jalen Johnson to get tagged.
I had somebody say I thought Mooney was getting released because he got tagged just 2 days ago. I got berated for it. Hey, where'd you get that smooth ass hat?
Who said that?
I did.
Oh, you. Oh, I don't know. Some lady I know made it for me.
Show them the back of that because this is our show hat for the host of this show. Look at that. That is sick. But the FTP hats will be for sale.
Yes, sir.
Well, Volga pops in, says, "Good morning, gentlemen." Well, now let's talk about the standouts. At linebacker, there's 3 at the top for speed. You had Peyton Wilson, Kalen DeLoach, and Edwin Cooper. From 4.43 confirmed to 4.51. Now you go to DNs, and I mean, it's the class right there. 4.46 and 4.48. Dallas Turner ended up being the fastest one, and Chop Robinson was second. Formulate the prognosis. Yeah, that sounds good. I like Free the Puppies better. And then to get to our fastest D tackle, we all know who it was. It was Braden Fiske. My God. He ran a 4.78. He actually was first in the broad jump and first in the 10-yard split, too. It tells you everything you need to know about what he can do on the field. That translates to the best burst, the best overall speed in the 40, and the most explosive. What he lacks and it can be taught is hand pop. If I'm Chicago, I go heavy on the O-line and free agency, then draft. I take Harrison and Neighbors at 1 and 9. That offense could be so nasty, and Fields would be able to prove if he's got it or not. That's where I was going with it if you kept Fields. But you know what's crazy is out of all the guys they got rid of their best rated interior old lineman in Cody Whitehair. I understand it was a cap move, but it doesn't make sense to me. The thing is if you look at Braden Fiske's game tape, he was good, not great. He has elite measurables and okay game film. So if you got okay game film with great measurables, it usually leads to a nice, solid career, but you're not going to be elite at your position. We've seen this before. Man, I am.
Dude, everything coming out of Atlanta right now is they're talking like the first this year and next year's first for freaking Justin Fields. From all the beat writers down there and everything, and supposedly a deal's already in place that is just waiting on the Bears to decide if they're taking a quarterback or not. And I want the Bears to do it more for Justin Fields' benefit than for their own benefit at this point. I think he needs to change the scenery. And the GM and coach aren't the guys that drafted him, so that's their little, okay, we can get out of this shit.
Yep, I agree with that too. Uh,
I got one real quick before the draft. How about the rumor going around about the contract Jordan Love is looking to get now?
oh yeah, that 4 years, 200 million. Pride of Detroit came out with a meme yesterday morning and said Goff's expected contract is between 40 and 45 million for 5 years. And then not even 10 minutes after he made the meme, the Jordan Love contract came out that it's going to be 4 years, 200 million. If that doesn't tell Jared Goff, don't accept less than 50, I don't know what does.
No, Rick Shaw, no way.
Rakestraw, and there's a T in his name. It's not Shaw, it's Rakestraw. He is the most overrated corner in the first round. We take him, it's taking Jeff Okudah, whether you take him up front or you take him at the back. His QBR against last year was the highest of all DBs in NCAA Division I at 96.7. He also gave up the most touchdowns of all of them at 5.
Because he's greedy. He's like
He's
basically the way. Yes,
he's Trayvon Diggs with no coverage skills.
Yeah,
because Trayvon Diggs didn't develop his coverage skills till last year. He actually looked good in coverage before he got hurt. If you remember, Trayvon Diggs was the biggest gambler, and that's why he led the league in pick sixes and interceptions. TJ Tampa, he's a decent cover 2 corner. Yeah, Brent, I agree. I don't see paying Goff 50 million. Absolutely, one funky Lions fan. That's where I'm at. If Ryan Poles builds around Fields and doesn't take Caleb number 1 overall, believe it or not, it actually helps them a lot.
Yeah, but he could have them on the hot seat at that point, not taking the quarterback.
No,
and I like the fact that he said that if he is taking a quarterback, he's going to trade Fields before the free agency because, it's the least respectable thing to do.
I understand. I like that, but he didn't say he is. He left that to so much conjecture. You know what I'm saying? There's so much.
It's a boatload of picks in the trade.
Not with Love going to get 50 million a year. Charles Munkachi. That came out yesterday.
If it was going to be 43 a year, that should have been signed already.
Yep, 43 a year. It would have already been done because that was the offer on the bye week. Curtis stock is rising. TJ Tampa and Mel Kiper said he would fit for what Detroit does. Kiper said he's kind of a Brad Holmes would take first round. No. TJ Tampa's not even elected to be a first round guy yet.
Neither was Jack Campbell.
Actually, well, yes, he was. His projected pick was between 26 and 38.
He's a second round guy. Nobody expected him to come up, especially where they went to get him at.
First, second round grade all day. What about Darius Robinson? He tested the slowest of all DNs, but he is strong as hell. So you know what he'll be? Charles Harris, John Kaminsky. Right. A lot of people had Jack in the 20s. That's what I was getting at. He was rated 26 to 36 on every board I saw. Maybe 38 at the latest. But what he did do well, and another thing, one of the slowest D tackles actually had one of the best, what's that called, around the ring or the hook, or when they did the figure 8?
The hula hoop. I don't remember exactly what it is.
Run the hoop. T'Vondre Sweat. Right.
Yeah.
Darius, the Pajama Olympics. What did Dan Campbell always say? Throw out the Pajama Olympics if they got great game tape.
The freaking hoop, though, the two hula hoops where you got to pick up that towel, that is my favorite drill of the entire thing. Because you can see a person's hip bend, the knee bend, and all that. Wyatt's Leitao or whatever the fuck it is. The kid from UCLA. Leitao.
Yeah,
that was him. He actually looked really good in all of his drills. And I started watching some tape of him. I'm like, the guy performs everywhere. If his neck is actually healthy now and it's legit, he is like end of the first, like 20-25 range. And I think he'd be worth it.
Yeah, but
and the guy's got heart.
His drills and his talent is what's keeping him right behind Jared Verse and Chop Robinson. That injury history is the only reason why he's not number one. I guarantee
exactly.
I mean,
so
he's
no. Chop Robinson's number one now.
I understand, but I said he's behind both of them. I just said that. I didn't put anybody.
You said Verse and Robinson.
I know. I'm talking in conjecture. I didn't say any particular order. I just named the names. Good Lord, stop that. And the people in the chat.
Getting you riled up.
Well, I'm trying to make a point and you interrupt me.
Because it's funny.
No, it's not. It's frustrating.
I know that feeling.
Verse and Robinson. Anyways, they are considered the top two no matter which way you put them. Measurables, Chop Robinson goes above Verse. But overall game tape, Verse has the better game tape, which is why he's been number one the entire time. So, all of them, if you look at them, all three, that run the hoop drill, the only one that struggled with it a little bit was Verse.
Mm-hmm.
Robinson had a great one. Believe it or not, Devondre Sweat with the slowest 40 time that ran yesterday. Guess what? He had one of the better run the hoop drills. Chris Jenkins had a great run the hoop drill, but if you watched the thing about it is Chris Jenkins also had a great 4-bag drill. If you watched him in the 4-bags when Devondre Sweat did it, they almost needed a crane to pick that guy up because he slid so far sideways when he tried to make that cut and turn. It was hilarious. I was like, oh man, he's going to wipe out the coach telling him to go.
Okay, real quick. Let me interrupt the chat here. Is undone. Chop Robinson can't set the edge and can't draft back in coverage. That's why he isn't an off-ball linebacker. He's a defensive end.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to set the edge. He needs to go kill your quarterback. And that's all he needs to do.
I don't think Sweat, in my opinion, needs to lose 10 to 15 pounds. Sweat tore it up in the drills. He's an athlete for sure. Yeah, I mean, that's what I saw. In the drills, he was good, and he was going so fast and so hard when he tried to make the cut, he almost wiped out. It was kind of funny to see. Chris Jenkins, great in the drills. Looks every bit of a second-round pick, solid all day. Oh, 200 size to play edge in the 4-3, then what's James Robinson? He's bigger than James Robinson or James Houston. Is undone. Stop. We used James Houston at 6'1" and 240 pounds at edge last year. Because he's not a linebacker. He's a 200. He's the exact same size as Hutchinson. What are you talking about? Hutchinson, his rookie year, was 267 pounds. Yeah, I like Latu, but that injury history scares me more than anything.
That's why I was saying to Coach yesterday, I was like, dude, if we can see this dude's medicals and that stuff checks back out, if you got him at 29, he'd be a steal if his medical's there.
Right. But I don't think he's going to be there. I think somebody's going to grab him in the top 20. 100%.
I hope so. After watching his stuff, hearing his story, I hope that guy gets picked high and makes a bag.
But Braden Fiske was expected to be a 3rd or 4th rounder, and now he probably played himself at least into the 2nd round because he looked damn good in the drills, and his measurables are off the charts for a defensive tackle.
Did we see his bench?
Let me go look it up for you because all I got to do is type in his RAS.
Yeah. Oh, and JB, the only thing that's going to hurt Tavondre Sweat and keep him a second rounder is he only had 32 reps on the bench press.
Yeah, I said that last night. Nobody, the confirmed after they went back and watched the tape, nobody broke 25 reps. Nobody. As a matter of fact, they're saying the defensive tackles didn't even do it. No data is given. The only ones that did it were edge and linebackers, and none of the top guys did it. Lions will not draft Chop. It would be a good fit for the Ravens. Wow.
He's not going to be anywhere near available to either one of you guys.
Right. Chop is going in the top 10.
Ooh. Fuck O-line, fuck quarterback. Giants take another pass rusher. Let's go.
Yep. Motor City Villains. One guy that fell drastically is Trice. Man, he lost at least 15 pounds in the 40. For the 40, didn't do well. He didn't. I mean, he really didn't. Yeah, I think Trice is going to go all the way to the 3rd or 4th round now because he was considered a 2nd rounder by prospect ranking. Now he's probably going back to the 3rd. He ran for an edge, 4.7's not horrible. And the other guy that I thought had a good Nealon from Western Michigan. Marshawn Nealon, edge, defensive line, defensive end. 6'3", 267. Exact same height and weight of Hutch when he came out. He had a 475, 166 split, 35.5 broad jump, and 9'11" broad jump, and a 35.5 vertical. Nealon looked great. And I'm not even trying to be the homer guy here. I'm just saying.
JB, what do you think about that Rook or Horo kid from Clemson?
He had a good showing. I think he moved his draft stock up because we were seeing him in 3rd and 4th rounds in mocks, correct? Yes. I think he moved himself at least into day 2. That's the kid out of Clemson, right?
Yes, sir. Him and Trotter Jr. both looked really good to me yesterday.
Yeah, Jeremiah Trotter, legacy guy. I think the Eagles grab him even though he went to Clemson.
I pray to God they don't.
That
We're sacks in 10 games is elite.
Is undone. You can't. Here you are talking about 1 year where the whole team played as flat as Travis Kelce's girlfriend. Defensively, they were good for like a few weeks. What he does is tackles for loss. Pressures aren't measured in the NCAA. They don't even measure pressure win rate. You have to do the math yourself by watching film and adding it up. Every now and then you run into somebody that did it for you. Chop Robinson is elite talent. You know what Goff is elite at? Decision making with a clean pocket. That's it.
Here. You want to talk about elite or not? Go look at Micah Parsons' college stats and then go look at Chop Robinson's because they're pretty fucking identical.
I understand that. I'm not saying the Lions are going to get him because he's going to be gone before 15. We pick at 29. You're missing the point here. Somebody else is getting him. You know whose stock is going to drop, though? Myles Murphy, a guy that could have been a top 20 pick last year if he came out a year early and went back to school. Because remember, he didn't take an agent last year. He was a DN and put on 40 pounds in the offseason and switched to D tackle. His 40 time went from a 4.63 to 5.2. I've never been high on Kool-Aid McKinstry except for the name. You can ask Von Doom. Have I not? Isn't that where I've
Man,
been? I've been just
he
on the
hasn't
name.
been high on him. He's like, oh, yeah, whatnot. But I don't think JB gives him enough credit. I think Kool-Aid McKinstry is probably my favorite defensive back in the entire draft, not even including his name.
You're not missing my point. He has a foot fracture and won't be performing today.
I know he's not performing today. They found out yesterday he had a freaking Jones fracture in his foot. He'll be he's doing everything, but he's not doing the drills today. He won't do any of the running stuff, but he'll do the bench and other shit. And at his pro day on the 20th, he'll do it, and he should be good by training camp, they said. And that's awesome, because I hope he falls to the second round. Like my Giants could grab him in the second, because that'd make me happy.
I've said that already. If the best defensive tackle and corners are off the board that have a first round grade that fits this team, you go O-line at 29. But the bad part is most of those O-linemen are gone because everybody in the NFL needs O-linemen and O-linemen depth.
Realistically, look at the NFL right now, your offensive line rosters. Over the past 5 years, it has just declined. Your good players have been falling off, getting old, and there hasn't been any good young talent coming in to replace them, really.
Yeah, Lions needing one of or the X-style wide receivers right now, but I don't think there'll be any of them at 29. Unless you're going to take reach and grab one of the ones that'll be at the back half of another round later. It's about fit. Remember, they're meeting with everybody because we don't know what they're doing in free agency yet. We also don't know what exactly Amon-Ra is going to be. But like I said, I predicted it's going to be 5+ the entire time, and that's more than likely it.
Kool-Aid in the second round would be a miracle. And Xavier Legette could be good at 29 too, the kid from South Carolina. Just saying, as your ex.
I want to see what he does.
I'm talking just off the game tape. I want to see him run.
Yep. And Keegan also brings up a good point. If I remember correctly, Kool-Aid's teammates came out and said the dude is lazy in drills and practice. That's not a Dan Campbell guy.
Oh, he is. But you know what? He's one of those guys that his talent just showed that, hey, I don't fucking need to. And it's practice, man. What did Allen Iverson say? Just practice.
Yeah, but we don't want that. You know, it's one thing you can't say. Even though Will Harris and Benito Jones suck on the field, they show up at practice. I do have a point there. Oh, no. Hold up a second. I can't hear anything. I just broke my headphones.
Well, damn. One funky line, exactly. Xavier Legette. He looks like he's a dog.
Okay, good. I can hear you guys. I just broke my headphones. I tried to move the adjuster to change it so the chin thing wasn't sitting too long. It ripped the thing right out of it. I don't know. I don't know if we're taking a linebacker in this draft, though. I mean, we might take a linebacker that plays multiple positions, but I doubt we're just taking a straight up linebacker this draft. Right.
He's a good pass rusher, too, though.
Ms. D lineman Darius Robinson, great game film, didn't have a great combine. I don't know how you can say he's strong. He didn't even do the bench press. Only 2 D linemen did the entire bench press, and that's Gabriel Murphy of UCLA and Khalid Duke of Kansas State. That's it. I don't know. If you look at the game film, he doesn't need a lot of development. He just needs to work on his hand pop, and he also needs to work on his get off. That's what I saw is he had a poor get off at in the 40 for Darius Robinson, which explains all the slow times. If you get off slow, you will be slow. But you could say that about half the guys that ran.
Not that Kool-Aid's a lazy player. He's just not motivated because he's never really had to be because he's always been that much better than everybody else out there. When he is motivated, go look at some of the shit he does. Look at when he gets burnt or something, how pissed off he gets the rest of that game and how well he plays. If you can find a way to motivate him, you got Patrick Surtain.
Here's the thing. It doesn't matter who you draft at what position. Guess what? They all need to be developed somewhat going from college to pro. There is a transition period, and it's usually considered 3 years. We've all said this over and over again. The only ones that don't are the ones that are considered elite generational quarterbacks that get thrown to the fray the first year.
C.J. Stroud.
Detroit fan man, but that's what I say to my wife too. Babe, I'm not lazy. I'm just not motivated.
Dude, it's so true though. If you get the right motivation behind you, you can get some shit done.
I think Darius Robinson at 29 might be the pick because I doubt he gets picked in the first round after that 40 time. I think he'll be right there. And he does sound like a Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell type of guy at the podium when he was doing his interview. And you're talking about a kid that actually went to Lions training camps, graduated from Canton. Game film wise, yes, Jerzon Newton is still the best DT in college football. You can't just because someone looks good at the Pajama Olympics, you can't say that someone's not good from their game film. Is what I'm saying. We've seen this before. There are guys that are great athletes and are faster on the field than they are at the combine, and then guys that show out at the combine, and guess what? They're absolute trash on the field. We've seen this before. And people make too much of the Pajama Olympics all the time. Do you think they try and trade for Snead? I doubt it. That type of bag player, and he's a guy looking for a bag. He already said he wants to be a 20 plus $1 million a year cornerback. So if you trade for him, you also got to extend him. So people who want us to trade for him and you want to pay Goff, that's out the question then. I mean, you got to look at it from the money perspective. If you want this person, you're not getting X player, this player, and you're not re-signing this person. If you want to re-sign everybody and sign a great free agent, then you're not paying Goff. There is no in between.
Keegan, I do not think Newton is still the number one. I think Murphy jumped him for number one.
Did Murphy even run?
Yes.
Nope. He did.
Murphy ran.
I didn't even see him. He's not even listed.
He ran. I watched him run.
He's not listed.
I don't care if he's listed. I watched him run. Hold on.
Miles Murphy.
No. Byron Murphy ran a 4.87.
I'm talking about Jerzon Newton did not run. He did not perform at the combine.
No, we weren't talking about him, though. We were talking about Murphy.
Keegan asked if Fiske and Murphy jumped Jerzon Newton as number one. Specific question.
And I answered his question saying Murphy is definitely the number one. And then you said, did he run? You didn't specify.
And I'm asking about
that.
Newton. I'm asking about Newton. So the question, if Newton didn't run, his game film is better than Byron Murphy's. Right now, Newton is number one until he shows something at his pro day, is what I was getting at. Because his game film is better than Byron Murphy's. Orlando Escaliano, that would be Miles Murphy, and it was adjusted to a 5.2 flat. Yeah, he was blazing, wasn't he? That's the Murphy I was talking about that gained 40 pounds and dropped. What's the best position group in the draft? Remains to be seen, but I'm going to say it's probably either O-line or corner overall for top to bottom talent. The D-line talent is very top heavy, but the drop off is significant. Oh, Jenkins, I already talked about him, Orlando. You're coming in about 36 minutes after we started. I love the way he ran his drills. He had a very good day yesterday. Devondre Sweat, his one drill that I thought was funny was the 4-bag drill. Because at the end of the 4-bag, when he made the cut to run off the field, he was about 1 inch from toppling over and them having to open the roof and get a crane to pick him up. But you saw his footwork and how fast he moves his feet. Yeah, Jenkins' dad was a pretty good player in Carolina. Yep. Yeah, Jared Verse was only 1/10 of a second slower official time than Chop Robinson. Chris Braswell was right there with him. Chris Jenkins, Newton, Fiske, how would you rank them? It's still Newton, then Fiske, and Jenkins. Right now. Fiske actually had a little better drills than what Chris Jenkins did. Plus, he was overall the fastest DT, had the best broad jump, and the best 10-yard split. And and the 10-yard split means more to me than the 40 time. I think overall receivers is the best, but the top guys at edge, they're really, I yeah, I said that the D line wasn't that good. The one thing Jenkins lacks in his game film, the ability to take on double teams and the ability to have hand pop. That has to be developed. There are guys that are there that already have that, where all they got to develop is the footwork. And I almost would rather go that way than take a guy that has to learn something that might take 4 years. And Holmes cares more about the 10-yard split and the 40 time, because what does the 10-yard split show? First step.
Quarterback.
Yep. First step. First step and burst. Your burst is shown through the broad jump. Correct? I think Jenkins only had a great year because of Mason Graham next to him. Because Jenkins hadn't had that type of year the entire time. I mean, if I'm Brad, do I sign a free agent to a mid or upper mid contract and trade up to get one on a rookie deal? I think the cornerback room is actually pretty legit all the way down to probably the 4th round right now. But we're going to see more of that today when they do the combine, when we see the speed. Same would happen with McNeil. You don't know that at the NFL level because he already lacks hand pop. NFL level, any DT that lacks hand pop struggles. The best hand pop last year for the D tackles in the draft was Brian Breesy. And guess what? He showed it. He went to a crappy team and showed out. He had just as many sacks as Jalen Carter. I sometimes do know what I'm talking about.
Once in a while, you get it right.
Hand pop is one of the most important things for a D tackle in the draft. 100%. We got 22 watching and only 7 likes. So James Williams must be running with the DBs today because he didn't run with the linebackers and DNs. I was looking to see what his 40 time was. I wanted to see it. But nobody broke the 4.4 barrier. Like I said, nobody was faster than a 4.4. That's what I was getting at. When I asked that question, who's going to be faster than 4.4? There was nobody official time-wise.
And for your guys that rush to pass or the guys over 4.7, I'm not taking because the guys that led your NFL in freaking sacks last year, all of them were under 4.6, under 4.65, I think it was.
When you're looking at edge, not linebacker, if you're looking at the edge, the ones that got to it, and the ones that switched to linebacker because of necessity, because of size, because that's where that's your tweeners between linebacker and DN, is that edge in college. So unless they ran a 4.6, let's say a 4.67 or faster, you don't take them, right?
Pretty much.
So that means your cutoff is Eric Watzik of Connecticut. Everything above that, if you go look at the combine tracker, is for edge is on the field. In the top 2 were Dallas Turner and Chop Robinson. And Muhammad Kamara of Colorado State was pretty quick too. 4.57.
Had great bend too.
Yeah.
What I didn't like about Jared Verso, if you watch the hula hoop drill, he does not look fluid getting low.
Who, Kamara?
No, yeah. Jared Verse. He stumbled.
Oh yeah. There was one where he grabbed the towel and he almost like rolled over on the first turn when he grabbed that first towel.
Yep. But you watch Robinson and Latu do it, they get so low. I mean, they didn't get Von Miller low, but they got low.
Right. And so did Sweat. I was shocked how low Sweat got in that drill. His bend was pretty damn good for a 370-pound guy. Yeah, Latu had a great drill. He wiped it out, but I couldn't believe how fast that big guy got around the hoop because he was so low and his bend was good and he was cutting.
Nice.
And the Eagles are releasing Kevin Byard. Oh, so once again, something I said when it happened, I said I wouldn't have traded for him because it's probably a 1-year deal because he's expensive. So what it's going to cost them is dead cap.
Saints are also releasing Marcus May.
Saw that coming too. That was released last night. Lions will not draft Sweat. You don't know that. Because Sweat, because of his 40 time, may drop. Because guess what? 40 times don't matter for defensive tackles at all. It's 10-yard splits. And he actually had a 1.8 10-yard split.
Here, best example for a guy like Devondre Sweat's size. Go look up what Snack Harrison's 40 was.
He ran what, a 5.3?
It was shit. But the guy had a
5.3, 5.4.
10-yard split.
You don't want him to keep his weight in check if he moves that good. He had a great hoop drill, is undone. Why are you hating on the guy who had one of the best defensive tackle hoop drills? He's not an edge. He's a defensive tackle. He ran it better than Chris Jenkins did.
Honestly, he's not even he's not a defensive tackle. He is a prototypical nose tackle.
but he played DT2 at Texas, which is even better yet, which is
With that
exactly
size,
what we need. You got to have big guys like Martin and Sweat on a roster to keep your DT1 healthy, because we know what they are. They're space eaters. They're the ones that take on the double teams. Why are we going to sign another vet nose tackle to come here and fail and be overpaid? I don't like it.
There's not really
The
any
one
good
we
ones
should have
available
signed,
this year.
there's the only decent mid-tier guy that's available is Sheldon Rankins. And we should have signed him last year, because look what he did for the Texans D-line. And I called that shit.
JB keeps the receipts.
Yes, I do.
But you're not running a 4-3, so you're running a 3-4 under. So
No, we're not. We're running a
not running
4-2. We
Oh,
run a
what the
4-2-5.
fuck?
We've been running a 4-2-5 for 2 seasons now. That's why we suck in the passing game. Right. And Tavondre Sweat won't be a first rounder, is what I'm trying to tell you. He'll be a second rounder. He did nothing to improve his draft stock, really.
What was his second running on the 40? Wasn't it like 4.8?
No. His second, the official time for Tavondre Sweat, he was the slowest of all the D tackles at a 5.27. He did not break 5. The DTs that broke the 5-second barrier, let's see, you got to go way up. Dwayne Carter, Jaden Crometti, Chris Jenkins, Rook Ohoro, however you say it, Byron Murphy, Mikai Wingo.
That Rook's last name sounds like somebody's trying to deep throat him when they're saying his last name.
And then it's Braden Fiskey for the fastest overall.
Oh, here, another thing about Fiskey. One of his best things that he did was the shuttle drill. He had a 4.37 on that. And just to give like some comparison for that shuttle drill, Aaron Donald was a 4.39.
Right. He was faster than Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
I mean, Tavondre Sweat wasn't even the slowest at the 10-yard split. That was Miles Murphy and Zion Logue of Georgia.
Oh my God. He has such a horrible, horrible combine. Zion.
Yeah, Zion had a horrible, horrible combine. I'm kind of
Fred
mad.
Peterson. Hang on. Why they do 40s for D lines and O lines? Because it's funny watching fat guys run.
Yes. And it also shows you if they have any wind whatsoever when they get to the end, because then you know if they pick up a fumble, they might actually be able to score. Yeah, but the problem is that AG stays in the base defense for the entire third quarter, every third quarter. He does not fluctuate. He does not scheme change. The third quarter was our worst quarter because he stayed in base defense the entire time. 92% base defense. Is it funny that that's the one where we gave up the most passing yards and the most rushing yards and everything else in the third quarter? And Fred, plus it's how you get their 10-yard split, which matters. Yes, absolutely, Funky Lions fan. That's why. But I like my answer better. Combined with Von Doom's, it's kind of the right answer. At 40 yards, the guy that can still go and turn around and not have to put his hands on his hips and take oxygen, he has stamina. Who was it that started to come up lame? And I think he didn't do any of the drills. One of the DNs. And he had a decent 40 the first time, and he like almost died the second time.
I don't know. Hang on.
Wasn't it Xavier Thomas?
I'm not 100% on that, man.
Yeah, because it was one of the ones that had a better 40 time the first time around. The second time he went like it wasn't that good. I'm amazed at all these big guys. Yeah, hey, if I was 370 pounds, I don't think I could run to my steps, which are 10 feet away.
300, man.
Yeah, it was Xavier Thomas. He went out and didn't do any of the drills because he didn't have a shuttle time or any of that. That huge running that fast. I don't want to have to run away from a 370-pound, 6'4" man. Do you? Do you want to have to run away from Tavondre Sweat, Leonard?
I do not have any appropriate answer I can give you for that because I'd make a really fucked up joke.
Didn't hit.
I throw a hamburger the other way.
Jalen Carter had one of the best combines last year ever.
He had a 9.9. Throw a cheeseburger.
I think he had a 9.98 RAS last year. He damn near had a 10. I think the only thing he lost it on is because his arms were an inch shorter than normal. All his drills were top of the draft. Oh.
Why couldn't Will be here? You could have said that with Will here, and I had the perfect setup right there. No, you froze.
Oh, there. I'm back.
Hell, if you would have said that when Will was here, man, that was a great one. I guess JB froze again. Okay. Hell, I would outrun Sweat if he was coming after me. Sweat was coming after me, man. I'd be throwing a cheeseburger the other way to get his attention to go that way, and then I'd run. Oh, exactly. Dang Wi-Fi. Fred Peterson, I agree, Funky, but most important footwork a lineman can do is the first 3 steps to 5 yards. Frankly, I don't want a lineman to scoop and score. I want them to just dive on the ball and stay there. Dude, absolutely. Tell me you don't get afraid when you see a lineman pick up a ball. You're like, oh my God, he picks this up. He's going to go. He's going to fumble this thing. Or he's going to have a heart attack on the field. And yeah, most linemen don't have ball skills. It's not their position. There's a reason they play what they play. If most linemen had ball skills, they'd be tight ends.
Sorry. Internet lagged out on me. It's Comcast. Go figure. Xfinity, whatever the hell you want to call it.
Hey, look what I haven't done, JB.
I know you haven't lagged out. It's just this morning I think there's some water in the lines. You know what that does to the internet.
Hence why I got rid of Comcast.
So who do I like so far? If it's the first round and you're taking a D tackle, for right now, it's probably Newton, Murphy, and I think Fiske just went up to a borderline first round talent with his showing. Because he does have decent but not great game film. He has decent but not great stats. That's what linebackers and corners are for. They are ball carriers on the defense. You know, and you're not wrong, but who strips out the ball 90% of the time?
Peanut Tillman.
No, I'm talking about it's normally a D lineman that strips the ball out or punches it out behind the line. 100%. And this whole rule, the tuck rule thing, if you remember right, after that year, Brady's fumble would have been ruled a fumble, right? And even Tom Brady said, "Oh yeah, 100% that was a fumble." Because his hand was going up and back at the same time. It was not cocked back to throw, because that was the letter of the rule for quarterbacks. Would you take Sweat at 29 if you're Brad? Let's put it this way. If all of those top flight corners are gone, the top 3 D tackles are gone, and all your O linemen is gone. If all of them are gone, then yes, I might take Sweat at 29. Just because what it means to this roster. Have a big guy at D tackle. But at O line, um, Graham Barton, John Jackson Powers Johnson. Can you imagine if Brad Holmes moves back in the draft and all those Lions fans are waiting to hear that he will pick at 29?
None of us think that they're staying at 29.
No, they were saying what if, and the only thing is I think there's a possibility we stay at 29 because maybe nobody wants to let somebody trade up because the player that's there that somebody else would want is somebody they need on their roster anyways. That has happened before. We have seen drafts where there has been no trades in the first round.
They're few and far between, but yes, we have seen them before. At 29, if you have a quarterback that falls, you could probably get a call for that pick.
Right. And if a quarterback is sitting there, I think we trade back because the haul you'll get for a first round pick. Well, Branch we traded up in the second round for, not the first round. Or they want the 5th-year option on a player because then you can decide because after 3 years, you know if a guy's a bust or not. And I don't want to hear one person in this chat say JMO's a bust because he's only played 2 full seasons, that he's only been on the field for 1 full season. Sure, there's history at least. But yeah, the quarterback falling is the biggest thing. The quarterback falling is the biggest thing. I think somebody will trade up for that. And if all those other players are gone, you trade back.
What do you think about this, JB? Caleb Williams causing a start at the combine, the first invitee ever to skip medical.
He can't help it. He's not too bright.
The only thing I'm saying he's bright with at all is not having an agent. But goddamn, quit being a fucking diva and just go goddamn tests, man.
Who's his guy is the $1 million question. That's right, because I can't read Brad Holmes' brain. I try to guess. I do pretty good guessing, though. Because I was talking to Von Doom the day before the draft, before we went live with our Mockapalooza the Wednesday before the draft, which is something we do every year, guys. And it's a lot of blast. Every podcaster that's on with me gets to do a mock draft for whatever team they represent. And then we let the fans do a mock where they vote on who we take with each pick or if we trade back, whatever. We usually do one with trades, one without. There's problems with Caleb Williams. He's a diva. Most good quarterbacks are. Coming out of college, especially now that they're semi-pro and paid like pro players with the NIL, there's going to be a lot more divas coming out of the draft, especially at quarterback and wide receiver.
So absolutely. Could you figure before NIL, these guys were doing whatever they could to go to the NFL and get a job and get them millions of dollars. Now
they're getting
guy Caleb Williams made $10 million off his Under Armour deal, his NIL deal. So they're like, hey, they think they have a say and they have vested value to people yet, and they don't.
Off of what I've seen so far, I haven't seen enough of the combine. But guys that fit his mold, so far, and we haven't even seen him yet. Cooper DeJean is one of those guys that fits the Brad mold thing. Plays corner, plays safety, versatile, very athletic. Believe it or not, if we were picking in the top half of the draft, Chop Robinson would be one because he's basically Hutch. The running back should be divas the way they're treated in the NFL, but because it became a passing league and everybody thinks the running game doesn't matter, but anybody that watches teams that went to the Super Bowl and teams that were in, I like Cooper, just don't really want him. What is your reason why you don't want him? I mean, I want a valid reason why you don't want him. The guy's a track athlete, a baseball star, a basketball star, and a football star in high school. So he's a four-sport athlete where he excelled and still holds state records in 3 of the 4 sports.
Yep. While we wait for him to answer, back to the running back thing, it's not that they're not valued. They just don't value one person at a position that takes that kind of a beating. You need 2 and 3 guys there. That's why no running backs anymore are really getting that big bag.
The difference is Cooper's played CB1 and CB2, whereas Branch has only played nickel. How tall is Cooper? Cooper is 6'2". And Cooper also has a high football IQ. I really like Cooper. And with him not doing the combine, there's a chance that he might fall all the way to 29, people. Especially if he can't do everything at his pro day. Program success matter to me as well. Production in big time schools is harder. Yeah, and Cooper had a ton of production at Iowa. He may not have the hips for it, but you know what? He played it and played it well. Everybody says, what? And he's a zone corner. He's a fit for AG's defense. He likes to run 75 to 85% zone. Everybody wants to fall in love with these press man corners, and it's like Ennis Rekeshaw, who's Trayvon Diggs with worse coverage skills. And Cooper alone scored more touchdowns than their entire offense. This is true.
And you know what? A guy may not always have the greatest speed or the greatest hip flexibility or the greatest back pedal, but a high IQ in knowing angles makes up for a lot of that.
And that's what he does. They say he's one of the surest tackling cornerbacks in the draft this year because he takes great angles at runners and receivers. He also can punt return and kick return. Imagine having a big guy and somebody small that's going to get hurt punting, returning kicks and punts. He has elite measurables. Go back and watch all his stuff that he did before the bowl games. I think they said he ran a 4.47. Yeah, it was a 4.47.
And there's no
He ran a 4.4 flat his senior year as high school. Oh, yeah, but Okudah was a press man corner, not a zone.
JB's
I
not
truly
wrong.
think
Aaron
armchair
doesn't know how to
GMs
use them.
don't like. I have already heard armchair GMs dog Cooper because he was a white DB. But Orlando, look at the beginning of last season in the 2022-23 year when we played press man corner. Where was Okudah rated after the 7 weeks before he got hurt? While the rest of the team was dog shit. I'll wait.
He was a top 5 corner. He was a top 5 corner.
Yeah, he was rated, I think, 4th overall by PFF at that time. He gets hurt. We fire Aubrey Pleasant. We switch to zone corner. He comes back and he drops all the way to 22nd throughout the rest of the season he played. I don't think he's the same type of guy that is Branch. That's the difference. I think Branch is more of a true safety and nickel. That guy has the size and speed to play outside. There's a big difference there. Atlanta is already making him a free agent. It was his last stop.
You know what the problem with Atlanta was? What did they do? Same thing that Lions did. They played
Yeah, they
zone.
switched to a zone. They switched to zone last year, put him at CB2, and he was lost. He needs to go to a press man team, 100%.
And I truly believe that because he doesn't have a high football IQ and he doesn't understand the whole concept of his own. He's great at trailing a guy, press him and trail one-on-one. He's great.
And had some of the best hip fluidity you ever seen for change of direction. What he doesn't do well, the one thing he does absolutely fantastic that none of you guys can debate is setting the run from the cornerback position. He sets that edge better than any other corner I've ever seen. Active right now.
Active right now. I was going to say, well, who was that guy that was out in Seattle? Not Richard Sherman, not Cam Chancellor, Brandon. You know what I'm talking about, right? The freaking real tall corner they had out there.
Amani never looked good last year. Wait, Amani never looked good in the 2022-23 season. Amani was lost because we started out as press man corner. He lost his CB1 to Okuda before the season started. It affected him mentally. He's never recovered from it. Ask Von Doom about how he played for the Giants.
Yeah. And it sucks, too, because I'm a big fan of Amani Warrior. And I think if AG wasn't such a dipshit, that he'd still be your cornerback one, and he'd still be thriving. But I think AG is a horrible DC.
Yeah, and I'm going to go back to the 2022 draft. We draft 2, 3, 4 DNs, 3, 3, 4 linebackers over the first 2 years. And then 2 weeks after the draft, we're going to switch to a 4-2-5 base defense.
You're not the fucking Bills. It doesn't just work like that.
Right. It took all season, the first year, for this team to learn the 3-4 under he started running. And our defense went from bottom of the league looking through those 10 weeks. Boom. Immediate contributed like Sauce makes it look normal. It's not normal. That's the crazy thing. You guys act like guys like Sauce and Devin Witherspoon are normal in the first round. It's not.
It's been more common the past few years, but it's not a common thing in general.
I mean, what was the last great one before Sauce in the first round? And I mean, truly great. Was it Jalen Ramsey his rookie year in 2015? No, he wasn't even good his rookie year. He didn't get good to his second year. So you got to go back further than that. Who was it? I know it's right there on the tip of my tongue.
Was AJ Terrell a first round pick?
The New Orleans guy, Marshawn Lattimore. That's it. That's the last great one out of the first round. AJ Terrell, but you remember he had down years, so he's not considered great. He's just really good. Patrick Surtain's another one. That's more recent, though. I'm talking about you go past those guys. Diggs?
You're out of your fucking mind. Diggs was dog ass. All the guy does, he goes and picks the ball up. He can't cover, though.
Oh, let's see what the Athletic says. I'm going to say something. See right here. Cooper DeJean. I want to see who they say. This is according to the Athletic. Who his best bits are in the NFL. Number 1, Detroit Lions. That's his number 1 fit. Galladay.
Fred, I hope you step on a Lego and it hurts real bad and you trip and you sit on a cactus and it goes halfway in.
And on that note, I think it's time to start giving a shout out to the sponsors here. Holy shit. I can't believe you just went there on you.
What's the whole
That's
show?
it. Put it in the chat. Who is it, boys? It's FTP, your favorite non-Flora sponsor ever. Hats will soon be available. The pricing is still being decided on, I believe, correct? Or did
Yes.
you narrow down the price?
No, I actually got for the Velcro snapback ones, they're $25 a piece. If you want flex fit, they're $35 per.
Okay. Yes. For all those fans picking in front of us this year of other teams, much better. I sent in you. Cry like bitches should. Gloss Negron, the best window tinter in Saginaw. Give him a call today. Set your appointment. You don't want swamp ass when the sun beats down through the windows. 989-443-9240. Tell him Smokin Jeremy B set you. He'll set you up. Give you a great deal. He also does auto detailing as well as window tinting. And then, of course, Brandon's Tire, the #1 place to come get your tires. We have tires at great prices. We're not trying to get rich off of one person. We're trying to get rich off of everybody. Tell them Smokin Jeremy B sent you down at 602 West Atherton Road at the corner of South Grand Traverse and Atherton, 810-233-8230.
Fucking Paul Jones almost made me spit my coffee out.
Well, speaking of laughing, I've laughed too much and the coffee's running through me. I'm going to call it a day, boys. We will see you Monday. Flavor the pasta.
Keegan, no, he was a 4th round pick.